Welcome to Rebuilding Careers. I'm Bonni Pomush, CEO of Working Wardrobes, and today I am here with the amazing leadership team of Working Wardrobes. I'd like to introduce on my left our Chief Financial Officer, Alan Soaps, our Chief Revenue Officer, Stefaan Poortman, our Chief People Officer, Benson, and our Chief Program Officer, Profeta. Welcome, welcome. At Working Wardrobes, we spend our time here helping build bridges. We build bridges for people to overcome barriers and prepare them to re-enter the workforce. I'd like to ask you, in your career, would you share an experience of someone investing in you? And what did they do that made a difference for you, Marianne?
Wow, Bonni, that's a great question. When I first re-entered the workforce after being home for 13 years and doing many volunteer jobs, I went into HR. And the staff there was so supportive and understood my situation. I started back part-time so I could work during the school hours. And they taught me everything they knew. They had such great patience. I had fantastic bosses, and I had the opportunity to learn so many different things. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity.
That's like such an incredible tie-in, that taking care of people and investing in them one-on-one. Derek, as our Chief People Officer, how do you relate to that? Do you also have a similar story of someone investing in you in your career?
I do. I've always been really interested in and known the value of relationships. And I think that because of the relationships that I have, I've had a lot of opportunities in my career. I moved from one job to another job over the years because of those relationships. And I think that the folks that gave me a chance really supported me and let me get where I am today.
Wow, someone just taking a chance on us can make all the difference in the world. Stefaan, how about you? Do you have a story like that where someone invested in you?
I do, Bonni. Yes. So I did my studies overseas, and I came back to the U.S. and the dot-com bubble had burst. I knew I wanted to get into nonprofit work. I had a foreign degree and not a lot of experience, and I was working for a large environmental think tank in Washington. And I was a little bit disenfranchised. I didn't feel like I was getting a lot of connection to the mission and to the projects, and I wanted to work for an organization that would give me that experience. I was fortunate enough to be introduced to the founder of a small nonprofit and met with him and told him what I was looking for, and he gave me the opportunity to run a project overseas. And so within meeting him 3 months later, I was living in Turkey and running a project there, and that gave me a wealth of experience and on-the-ground knowledge. So.
Wow, and what a great bringing to light of everything that you brought to the table. That's fascinating, incredible. What about you, Alan? Has someone made a difference in your career?
Well, absolutely. I'd have to give all the credit to my parents.
Oh.
Mainly my dad, who was my mentor and always supported me in all my crazy ideas and different jobs. And when I came to starting my own company, everyone was against it and telling me that it's just not the right thing to do, to, stay with the corporate world, and he pushed me into it. So, definitely my folks.
Oh, wow. That's an incredible legacy that they have now, not just in you, but in obviously your career. I'm curious, often we talk at Working Wardrobes, our tagline is the power of a paycheck. And so often we can share our first paycheck story. Everyone has some sort of experience with that. Alan, do you even remember what your first paycheck was?
Yeah, I've been working since I was 12 years old, cutting lawns, doing everything. Yeah. And I remember, even at that age, getting that money, you hit cash, it wasn't really a paycheck, and then moving on to the corporate world and just being able to save up and buy my own things and not have to count on anybody. So just a long history of a lot of paychecks and a lot of saving.
Wow, spoken like a true Chief Financial Officer for sure. What about you, Stefaan? Would you share with us? What was your first paycheck story?
So I, like Alan, also started mowing lawns when I was 11, 12 years old, so I could save up and buy a remote control car that I wanted to. But the first job was really my first structured job, was working at Starbucks when I was in high school and early in college. It really taught me the value of customer service. I was a barista, and it was a very busy store, and we started very early in the morning. So I learned very early on the importance of showing up on time, and also the value of customer service and building relationships with the customers that came in.
Oh, for sure. I can imagine you knew who to expect first in line and make sure it was ready on time. Oh my goodness, wow. What about you, Derek? Would you share your first paycheck story with us?
I'm sure I had some odds and end jobs like mowing lawns back when I was a kid, but my first real job where I got a paycheck was at an ice cream shop. And I was in high school, and I did that because I wanted to be able to buy a car. Parents were both teachers. They didn't have a lot of money. I knew that if I didn't get a job and make my own paycheck, I wasn't going to get a car.
Exactly. Empowerment, the power to make choices with the money you earned.
Yep.
Absolutely. Marianne, last but not least, what's your first paycheck story?
Well, if I could remember back to high school, I wanted to join the ski club desperately. The ski club went every Friday night skiing during the winter. And I said to my parents, I want to join. They said, well, get a job. And so I said to my father, who had a body shop at a gas station, well, why don't you hire me? I'd love to pump gas. I used to love to hang out at the gas station. And he said, girls don't pump gas. So I went and found a job at State Farm Insurance doing filing after school. The hours were 4 to 6, Monday through Friday, every day. And it was close enough to my high school. I walked over, got a ride at 6 o'clock, and that was my first paycheck.
Wow. And if you don't mind me asking, just to build on this, what were some of the lessons you learned from that first paycheck that may have shaped your career even today?
The power of independence. Being able to save money for a goal was huge to me. And being able, every time I got on that ski lift, I thought, wow, I paid for this. It really made a difference.
Wow. What about you, Derek? What were some of the lessons you learned from that first paycheck that still shape your career today?
Independence and responsibility of just taking care of myself and those that I care for.
Yeah. Wow. Still taking care of the people, always. Wow. What about you, Stefaan?
So for me, I seem to recall we had to be there at 5:30 in the morning. So it was getting up early. And when you're in high school or college, that's not necessarily easy. So first of all, the importance of being on time. Second of all, as I mentioned, it was a very busy store, but a small store. So the importance of teamwork and working together and collaborating. We were like a well-oiled machine when things went well in terms of the orders coming in and then making the copies and getting them out. When the line got long and people got mad, it wasn't a fun place to work. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the value of customer service.
Wow. That is so, I imagine you in that position with eyes behind your back on the sides, moving like a well-oiled machine, to use your words. That's fantastic. Alan, any lessons from the power of taking that lawnmower over grass and bringing that into today?
It's just a matter of accomplishment, dedication, and just commitment more so than anything, because not every day you want to go to work, not every day you enjoy what you're doing, but you made a commitment, so therefore you follow it through. It stuck to me today. I either do something 100% or I don't do it.
Wow. Wow. From such a young age, not that you're so old, but I'm just saying, like,
I'm not.
it's a lot of years of reinforcing the same lesson and experience that you're a dependable person. I know getting to work with you, I sure appreciate that about you. We all had an incredible, epic year. 2021 was only more epic on the heels of 2020, of course. It's, you know, this sort of time of year that I really like to reflect. And as a culture, we spend a lot of time in traditions, right? And some of those traditions are to reflect and to recalibrate, to think back and to think forward. You know, what are the pieces of that experience that I want to take with me into the future? What do I want to be more intentional about? So before we move forward, what were some of the biggest accomplishments for you in 2021? When you look back on that year, what really stands out to you as a big one? You want to get it started, Stefaan?
Sure. Well, in my title is revenue, so that's where I tend to focus. We had record revenue last year across the board. In my two departments, we had record revenue in social enterprise and then fund development, and also in terms of our in-kind contributions, which is a lot of the product that we receive that we use for clients. So really being able, it was my first full year on the job, and with the transition, I was very proud of the team to be able to deliver on such high revenue goals and ambitions and exceed those. So.
Wow, congratulations, way to go. And as we kind of say behind the curtain, more money equals more mission. So I am so glad that that was the biggest accomplishment of 2021. How about you, Derek? What were some of the biggest accomplishments for you in 2021?
One of my proudest moments, I think, was making the Orange County Business Journal's Best Places to Work list last year. I think that was pretty incredible. Another one was when we partnered with the Orange County Health Department to do an on-site vaccine clinic. We actually did it twice here just to be able to help our community. And then third was probably putting together the strategic priorities that are going to drive us into the future.
Just a few things, just a few. How about you, Alan? What was some of your biggest accomplishments of 2021?
Well, being the last one in and joining the company, this team, 2021, one of the, at least the most dear to my heart is getting to know and work with this team. I've never worked with more amazing people, more dedicated people. So that is definitely at the top of my list. Coming in and helping, making the accounting department more efficient and operating more smoothly is definitely there. And being able to take part in Camp Pendleton event was definitely up there. It was something that I never experienced before, and being there and seeing what we do live will stick with me for the rest of my life.
Oh, you literally experienced the mission coming alive. Wow. And that is an incredible segue to ask you, Marianne. These Camp Pendleton events are really a full service, everything Working Wardrobes does compacted into one day. You do that all year. What were some of the biggest accomplishments for you in 2021 as our Chief Program Officer?
Well, I didn't do it alone, that's for sure. I have an amazing team. The entire organization as a whole served nearly 3,800 clients in 2021. Well, that's not a record for us. It was a challenging year. That's during a pandemic. To serve that number with 14,000 services is amazing. And when you think that most of those services were virtual, we were able to pivot very quickly and serve as many clients as we were. We had an amazing year. And like you said, Camp Pendleton, we're back at Camp Pendleton. We were able to offer wardrobe services in person again in 2021. And we had a fantastic year helping our clients to get back into the workforce.
Incredible. Congratulations. And truly, thank you. I came late to the team in 2021, and to think back on all that you accomplished is absolutely, it's inspiring beyond. What motivates you? What motivates you? You all go the extra mile on a daily basis. What motivates you to go that extra mile, Marianne?
Hearing that person on the other end of the line, or seeing them in person say, I got the job. For us, that means everything. Like we talked about earlier, the power of the paycheck, our first paycheck story. For some of our clients, they haven't received a paycheck in a very long time. And when they give us a call and they say, I got the job, and it's the job, it's not a job. It's very important that they understand where they need to be, and we help get them there. And that motivates me every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Stefaan? What motivates you to go the extra mile?
Well, I have to agree with Marianne. It's really mission fulfillment. I've worked in the nonprofit industry my whole career, and it's really about making an impact and changing the lives of people that we're working with. From a fundraising perspective, sometimes it can be a bit relentless and just focused on dollars and goals. I'm competitive. I like to meet and exceed those goals. But it's really about understanding how that is connected into the mission and driving and deepening our impact. COVID impacted so many people here in our community, and there was so much need. Last year was really an important year for our mission, and we lived up to it, and I'm proud of that.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. This year, as we reflected on those accomplishments from 2021, which took the entire team, as you said, Marianne, coming together around our mission and around how to make a difference in people's lives. We started out this year reflecting on that, and then really thinking about what do we intentionally want to put first in 2022. And the way that we did that was with a little bit of a metaphor. Many of us know this example, right, where the time that we have is symbolized by a jar. And if you put the small stuff, sand and gravel in the jar first, there's no room for the big stuff, the big boulders. And so instead, we take the big boulders. What is the priority? What are the most important things? We put those in the jar first, and then that leaves us enough time to do what I'm calling the small stuff. So before we head into break, what are your biggest priorities? What are the big rocks that you're putting in your jar first? Like, what are you going to spend your time first on this year. Derek, you want to get us started?
Sure. COVID is obviously a big thing right now. So the health and well-being of our employees is super important, our volunteers, our clients. Number two, I think, is just everything around people. People are our greatest asset. And we want to make sure that we've got good engagement, that we have retention, that we have opportunities for growth, learning, benefits, things like that. So those are my big rocks.
People first, through and through. How about you, Stefaan? What are you putting in first?
So I have sort of two external and two internal. Externally, it's really about product, making sure that we have product that works not only for our clients, but also for our stores and for our donation centers. So making sure that we have that product going. And then also working with our donors and getting to know them and connecting with them. And stewarding the donors after they make their contributions is really important. Connecting them to the impact that they're helping us achieve, that they are achieving essentially. Internally, it's really focused around collaboration, working more collaboratively with various departments within the organization, and then communication, because that is so key to us not only talking about the impact that we're having, but also helps facilitate this greater collaboration.
It's incredible too, as you're talking about communication and collaboration, I'm again envisioning you in that Starbucks. And so here it is with you still. Alan, what about you? What are you putting in first in 2022?
I'm sort of a trifold. It's efficiency, making the accounting department more efficient. The more efficient we are, the better productive we're going to be, and then reporting. The more reports that my department can generate will help the team, will help us grow, will help us achieve mission. So it's a matter of just accuracy, efficiency, reporting.
So true, you're the nucleus of so many decisions, because with good information and accurate data, we can make a decision. So thank you. What about you, Marianne? What are you putting in first in 2022?
Definitely people. Developing a good, strong team, having everyone work collaboratively, and all that includes volunteers too. Reaching out into the community, having the support of volunteers who can share their expertise with us, and really growing. You can't serve more clients if you don't have the right people in the right seats.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a very big focus of mine in 2022.
Amazing. Well, I'm ecstatic about the year ahead. We're going to hear more about it when we come back from a short break. So I invite you to come back in just a couple of minutes and hear more from Working Wardrobe's amazing leadership team. Welcome back to Rebuilding Careers. I'm Bonni Pomush, here with our Working Wardrobe's leadership team, who share with our community your gifts, your talents, your expertise on a daily basis. And before we continue, I just want to say thank you. Each of you is a gift, not just to Working Wardrobes, but to the world in your work through this. And I am just so proud to be a part of your team. When we went to break, you were asking me about my rocks and what I was putting first in 2022. So I'll share my top three are health. I think the pandemic showed me more than ever how important it is for me to commit to my health as the foundation for everything else that I do. So preventative health is certainly my number one. My second is kind of what each of you said. It's about people and relationships, and that's about collaboration, getting to know people, understanding strengths and what people contribute, and really putting people first. And the last is, in a word, contribute. For me, it's super important that I can also contribute my strengths and talents to the world in a productive way. And if I can do two of those things, health relationships or relationships and contribute, I'm totally in, because Alan, kind of like you were talking about efficiency, one of my biggest values on all is efficiency. So if I can do two of those rocks at one, I'm really happy. We'd like to talk a little bit now, switching gears, about 2022 and workforce development, right? And Marianne, you kind of articulated this really well. The demand now is greater than it ever was, and Working Wardrobe's ability to meet that demand and help other people achieve their career goals is better than it ever was. Would you give us a little bit of a peek into the workforce through your eyes, Marianne? What skills are really needing to be developed now to prepare the workforce of the future?
Well, as you mentioned, Bonni, it's a very challenging time. The workforce has totally changed. Who's in it, what they're doing. However, that being said, the number one need is still computer skills. At IT is growing in Orange County and all of Southern California. And it ranges from the basic computer knowledge all the way up to cybersecurity. And there is such a huge range in there that people need training, they need job-specific training, but they also need generic IT training. When you look at what's happened in Orange County, we are a hospitality hub here in Orange County. Many people were in those types of customer service jobs. Those were the first to go with the pandemic. And as a result, we have a lot of people who are now looking either for remote work. Think of how we all had to quickly learn Zoom, quickly learn how to maneuver our mouse in so many different ways just to get on a call or go to separate rooms in Zoom. I mean, there is so much that we've learned, but when you think of some of the clients that we help, they don't have those skills innately. And so they have more challenges because they've never used those types of skills before. So there's a lot of training that needs to happen.
Wow, no kidding. You're right, though, that sort of digital divide continues, and it's probably going to be a very, very long time before that changes. Fascinating. Well, Stefaan, in your role as our Chief Revenue Officer, you really help fund our mission, and you do that, like you said, by leading both our development and our social enterprise teams. How does your team communicate the impact those gifts, those donations, and those purchases actually make when you're interacting with our customers and our donors?
So we're blessed to have a business within our nonprofit. That's our social enterprise. And essentially it's the 4 retail stores that we have. And take the profits from that and funnel it back into our business. It helps with mission fulfillment. Our retail managers are our ambassadors. And they obviously are supported by collateral, but they are ambassadors talking to customers, helping them understand not only the value of their dollars and cents, but how that equates into mission and helping clients. And so really helping them help the customers and realize that value. From a fundraising perspective, it's all about connecting donors to mission and helping them understand the direct impact that their dollars are having as well. We do this through a variety of ways. It can be through events, it can be through appeals, but we have a number of arrows in our quiver and really making that connection, working collaboratively with programs to share that information, not only annually, but on a continual and regular basis so that people are seeing the impact in a timely fashion.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I can attest to that experience, having shopped at the boutique and having just walked into the door and being educated right away about, did you know that your dollars are here to support workforce development? And I just find that incredibly impactful and empowering. Speaking of numbers, Alan, every time you present numbers, whether it's, it doesn't matter who the audience is, I'm always blown away. What is your philosophy about communicating financials, and how could that help another CFO like you do what you do so well?
Thank you, Bonni. One, know what you're talking about. Know the numbers, study them, because if people know when they listen to you, they understand if you don't know what you're talking about. And more importantly is keep it short, keep it sweet. Most of the time you talk about numbers, you lose people. They're not interested. They're looking at the ceiling. They're looking at their watch. They're reading their phone. Get to the important numbers. Keep it higher level. Throw some colors in your graph. People love colors. And just get to the point. Get to what they want to know, the important part, and be enthusiastic about it. Believe in your numbers and make people want to learn more. And that's what I try to do.
Alan.
Is getting the interest so they want to know really more about the numbers rather than let's just get through this.
Alan, there is no try with you. This is like a quote from Yoda. Do or do not, there is no try. You do that every single time without fail. You know your numbers, you are efficient about reporting them, and you have our attention. Congrats. Thank you. Thanks for sharing the secret sauce to it. Derek, we have clearly talked quite a bit here. People are the core of everything we do. And what's interesting about you is you bring this very unique perspective to your role. That is, you are the only person on staff who has also been a member of the board of directors and specifically served as our chair. How did that experience inform, change, or transform your work in the chief people officer role?
So I think having been in those roles and also being a corporate partner and being a volunteer, I learned just about everything all the way around about the business. And then coming into the company and working on staff, I was able to bring a lot of the corporate experience in and address the needs of the business.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it's so robust how that has informed every aspect. And again, in your role, it is all aspects of Working Wardrobes and how we help people that informs. So thank you for that. So each of us is a different expertise, and in our fields, I would love to know, what can you share about the trends that you and your colleagues in similar fields are facing right now? I'm going to start with you again, Derek. Just what is happening in the world of HR that is a trend that is kind of changing the map right now?
Well, COVID again would be probably number one. Just the workforce, finding people that want to come to work and that are willing to do the work that needs to be done. I think those are probably the two biggest things. And then how we treat our employees and what we do to attract them and keep them. Yeah, those are all the real targets right now.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Alan? What are the trends in the finance world that are kind of being grappled with by CFOs everywhere?
Well, because the ever-changing times and things are becoming more, as Marianne said, more computer literate and challenging, people aren't staying at their job, as much as they used to, especially in the finance world. You go into a company, you'd stay there for minimum 5-10 years. People are jumping around all the time. And from what I find is, and I don't find it here thanks to Derek, who's done an unbelievable job, is companies, you have to invest in your employees. And it goes both ways. The employee has to be dedicated to the company, and the company has to invest in their employees. And there's just not that going around. There's not a lot of that going around nowadays. But again, coming to work here, Derek will invest with you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the biggest trend that I find is just people. It used to be stay with a job at least a year, a couple of years. People are just bounced around.
Yeah, definitely. And all those transitions create more transitions.
Absolutely.
How about you, Stefaan? What's going on in the world of revenue, development, social enterprise? What are some of the trends that are happening?
On the fund development side, Bonnie, it's all about prove it to me, right? It's no longer within nonprofit fair to say to people, we're good people doing good things. Donors are getting more sophisticated, and they really want to know what is the impact that their dollars and cents are having. So it's important to tie that back to the donors and show them how that's happening, and make sure you articulate that clearly and regularly. On the social enterprise side, it's very exciting. While we're seeing the retail industry suffer as a consequence of COVID and the large growth of e-commerce, the resale industry is actually booming and forecast to hit about a $60 billion market capitalization here in the US by 2025. And so we really want to capitalize on that and grow our social enterprise footprint, both physically and online accordingly, so that we have more dollars and cents that we can funnel into the mission and have more gas in the tank.
More gas in the tank, absolutely, yes. Well, that gas fuels programs. Marianne, what trends are you and your colleagues grappling with?
The state of the workforce, it is unlike anything I've ever seen before. Again, it comes down to COVID and people, just like Derek said. The issues that we're experiencing are happening in the greater workforce. A lot of challenges around the Great Resignation, as you've heard, the she session, women are leaving the workforce in record numbers. What are they doing? Even now, we're all grappling with schools being open. Some people want it, some people don't. How do you go back to work? What's the issue around childcare? There are so many things that are still up in the air after 2 years. Yeah. And it's hard to predict. Very hard to predict. The more people that I talk to in the industry, they're feeling the same pain that we all are. People are not going back to work in record numbers, and it's having an effect on the overall economy and what types of jobs are available. So many challenges, but we're going to get through it together. We share a lot of data, a lot of information, and we'll see where we are in a couple months.
Absolutely. Well, let's just cast that a little bit further of a shadow. And Marianne, what's your one mega wish? A mega wish for Working Wardrobes.
That's easy. I want a 99% placement rate for our clients.
Woo! Let's do it. What about you, Derek? What's your mega wish for Working Wardrobes?
I want 2022 to be the best year that this organization's ever seen. Highest revenue, most clients served, best employee engagement.
Yes!
That's really what I'm looking for.
Sign me up. How about you, Stefaan? What's your mega wish for Working Wardrobes?
I think that we continue to see the trends in our retail stores that we saw last year with continued and very strong growth coming out of COVID. And on the fund development side, I'm hoping for a more successful gala this year, even though we had a very successful one last year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm in. And Alan, a mega wish for Working Wardrobes?
2021 was a record year for us. We, surpassed all of our revenue goals. We surpassed the budget. I'd love to see, with your lead as our new CEO, 2022 be even better. Just not make 2021 look like we just did okay.
You heard it here first. Wow, I am so grateful to each of you for joining me to record this today. As usual, whenever I'm in your presence, I always learn something and will continue to reflect on our conversation. To our listeners, I hope you make it a great day and year, and we'll see you back here soon.